Punch-Out is not a difficult game to begin with. Early on, fights feel more like warm-ups. Slow, telegraphed punches, low damage output, and plenty of room for error. You learn the ropes, build confidence, and maybe even start to get a little bit cocky. But then, the game shifts. All of a sudden, your opponents become quicker and stronger. You can no longer get away with button mashing and attacking without strategic intent. It's not about learning how to play anymore, it's about proving you can. That shift has a name. Piston Honda. In Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, Piston Honda is the champion of the minor circuit. After you more than likely completely demolish Glassjaw and Von Kaiser, you definitely get the impression just by looking at this guy that he is your first truly competent opponent. I mean, just look at how he towers over Little Mac. Like, this dude is huge. His serious expression mirrors his tight fighting style as well, with a mix of quick jabs and strong uppercuts. This is really the point where the game starts to punish you for sloppiness as well. Unlike Glassjaw and Von Kaiser, Piston Honda won't let any old aimless punches slip through. This is a serious title bout against a serious contender. Of course he's gonna block your attacks if you spam them purposelessly. If you want to beat this guy, you have to match his level of patience and discipline, only punching when you're confident that you're gonna land the hit. Piston Honda's fight is where we're also first exposed to the concept of signature moves. Introducing the Honda Rush. Honda steps back, hops from side to side a few times, and then charges at you, unleashing a flurry of rapid jabs and ending off with an uppercut. If you're not prepared for this move, it can seriously catch you off guard and absolutely demolish your health bar. Try to dodge, and you won't be able to move quickly enough for the next jab. Try to counterattack when he's in the middle of his combo, and you're just asking for trouble. For an opponent this early in the game, it's a formidable attack, and one that can certainly give you a TKO from Tokyo. Luckily, this move is not without its countermeasures. You see, one of the key things that the fight against Piston Honda teaches you is the importance of blocking. While blocking attacks may reduce your stamina and you may lose a bit of health by doing it, it's a lot quicker than dodging and can thus be used to defend against multiple attacks in quick succession. Sound familiar? Apply this concept to the Honda Rush and suddenly it doesn't seem all too bad. You can get past it with relative ease. If you're feeling real brave, however, you can try to land a counterattack right when he's approaching you, and if you do, that's an instant knockdown in the bag. Overall, he's a pretty neat opponent in Punch-Out and actually comes back stronger in the World Circuit. However, my favourite iteration of Piston Honda has to be his return in Punch-Out Wii. Oh, sorry, did I say Piston Honda? I meant Piston Hondo, my bad. Yeah, so Nintendo actually changed this guy's name, and while they haven't explicitly ever said why, we can assume it was because they were worried about getting into legal trouble with the Honda Motor Company. Funnily enough, some of Doc's lines still feel like they make reference to his old name though, talking about Hondo overheating and sending him to the scrapyard. Huh. Who knew Nintendo would be so cautious about copyright infringement, am I right guys? And that aside, Piston Hondo is so much cooler in this game compared to how he was before. He has had a serious glow up here and is fleshed out with, well, an actual personality. This dude is just the epitome of awesome here. The shades of his meticulous attitude that we saw glimpses of on the NES truly come to fruition here when you see his intense training and remarkably composed, focused demeanor. This is something that we see not only in his intro, but throughout his fight. Besides his Hondo Rush, he has a very orthodox, no-frills style with quick yet traditional attacks and a fiercely confident yet undeniably respectful aura. He's so respectful in fact, that he even shows his humility by bowing to you in the middle of the fight. What a nice guy, oh! So it turns out that you can actually take advantage of this nice, friendly gesture and gain a star by punching Hondo while he's mid-bow. That feels kinda wrong, I can't lie. Complete lack of respect aside, another place that we see the extent of Piston Hondo's glow up is in his voice lines. These are so much more interesting here. Like in Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, he just says some random Japanese words in the round intermissions, but now, thanks to the power of voice acting and the fact that almost every character in the game is voiced by a native speaker, Piston Hondo was really brought to life. He has this very eloquent way of speaking, typically opting to talk to you in the form of proverbs, sometimes even giving you advice. Honestly, he probably does a better job of coaching you than Doc does. "Let them cut your flesh and you will break their bones" goes insanely hard in my opinion. They even kind of preserved the vibe they had going on before when he shows you his lunch and starts talking through each item, naming all the foods. Even when you knock him down, instead of rubber duck spinning around his head, he has sushi instead. It's a much more seamless, humorous and tasteful way of incorporating these Japanese foods into his character. He also reads manga in between rounds, like come on, that's fantastic. Not only is Piston Hondo incredibly cool from a character perspective, but mechanically he plays quite an important role in the game too. The way he fights is a flawless translation of how he used to on the NES. His quick jabs make a return, and they even have the same cue as they did back in the day. Right before throwing his punch, Piston Hondo has a telltale raise of the eyebrows to let you know just in time what he's about to do. Granted, it is a very fast attack, so your reaction times still have to be on point. There's also his hooks and uppercuts, and of course his signature Hondo Rush, just as lethal as it used to be and the perfect representation of this guy's speed. It's also now accompanied by a neat sound cue as he does his little hops, which helps to make this move even more memorable. Like before, this attack serves as a way of drilling into the player how useful blocking is, which I often forget is an option in this game, and still has the ability to be countered for those bold enough to try it. From this, we can see that Piston Hondo's purpose is to get the player up to speed in every sense of the phrase. What I mean by that is that he's not only quick, but also acts as a skill check boss, a way of testing the player's ability and ensuring that they understand the fundamentals. If you can beat Piston Hondo, you know how to play the game. If not, then you're not ready for what's ahead. This was something that was already the case in Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, with him cracking down on randomly thrown out punches, but it's only made more apparent here. His position as the first major circuit contender reflects this in a way, with him representing a new phase of the game where the training wheels are officially off and your hand is no longer held. Forget gimmicks, forget tricks. To beat Piston Hondo, you just need to be good. One very interesting thing about Piston Hondo is his record. We can see that he has 26 wins and only one loss, which we later find out was to Mr. Sandman. That's really good, so he's clearly got the skills. This makes his position as the lowest ranked opponent in the major circuit rather peculiar and opens up some questions as to why he is where he is, as there are many characters ranked above him who have significantly worse records. Perhaps it's because he's strong, but in a similar position to Little Mac, a fresh, up-and-coming boxer who's still working his way up through the ranks. Maybe he's just been schooling rookies for his whole career and avoids fighting stronger opponents. He might have just taken a break from the sport after an impressive career and returned at a lower rank after new contenders emerged. This theory does actually line up with the Punch-Out Wii live-action commercial, where we see that he's retired from boxing to open up a steakhouse in between games. Definitely canon, by the way.
So come on down to Piston Honda Steakhouse. It'll be Miss Steak, not him.
Then there's his title defense incarnation. The contrast between Piston Hondo and the other characters is actually very fascinating to see. A lot of these guys are sore losers and take their losses against Little Mac hard. But what does Piston Hondo do? He simply trains. He knows that he lost to Little Mac fair and square and understands that in order to win, he has to improve. He isn't fueled by revenge, jealousy, or malice. He's fueled by the desire to become a better boxer. Piston Hondo is disciplined, composed, and hardworking, and very little exemplifies those personality traits better than how he takes a loss. Granted, his measures for improving are rather intense. Like, we're talking speed eating sushi and catching a sword with his bare hands intense here. The craziest part is that the dude even trains his speed so hard that he's even able to match pace with a bullet train. Now that's what I call training. Get it? Because it's a train? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. But here's the thing. Even in contender mode, Piston Hondo was already pretty quick. So that begs the question. Just how much quicker can you really become in title defense? Well, let's just take a look, shall we? Yeah, this is the point at which you realize that you are completely cooked. My man's training has seriously paid off. He is very noticeably speedier, trickier, and overall stronger than before. His jabs? Yeah, they're faster. His hooks? Also faster. His uppercuts? you get the picture. It's evident that he's learned from his mistakes as well, and has done his best to patch up some of his weaknesses. Take his bow, for example. In contender mode, this was always a free hit, but now sometimes, Hondo keeps a close eye on you and will dodge and counterattack if you try to hit him. Okay, granted, you can still get a star if you block his counterattack, but it's still cool that he's learned to dodge now. Then there's the matter of patterns. Hondo has realized that if he repeats the same set of moves too often, he'll become predictable, so he now has some new tricks up his sleeves. His uppercuts, for instance, can now come from either side rather than just his right. Then you've got his new fake out uppercut, where he jumps from side to side, confusing you as to which direction he'll be coming from before he unleashes his attack. It's definitely a tricky move to get to grips with. When I first got to this guy's title defense fight, it really threw me for a loop. Initially, he'll only jump from side to side once or twice, but as the fight goes on, he'll do it more and more times to mess with you even further, and when that uppercut does come out, it comes out quickly. His signature Hondo rush has also undergone some improvements. He comes out faster, each jab is stronger, so the damage output here is ridiculous, and it is a very punishing attack to get hit by. It gets faster and faster the further you get into the fight, making the timing even harder to nail, especially for the counter attack. Even if you do manage to successfully land a hit at the right time, you don't even have the guarantee of it being an instant knockdown like in contender mode either. More often than not, you'll only get a star for your efforts. Needless to say, the Hondo rush in title defense is deadly. But the common thread that ties all of Piston Hondo's iterations together is that the simple way to overcome him is with practice and patience. You cannot rely on cheap tricks to beat this guy. Instead, you need to be as dedicated as he is. And eventually, with enough tries, with enough grit and determination, you'll finally learn how to get the best of him. In the midst of the chaos of Punch-Out, Piston Hondo represents order. He's a respectable opponent who takes the sport seriously, but equally makes sure not to take things personally. His disciplined attitude and hard-working nature are evident in the way that he fights and trains, and it's rare and refreshing to see a character like that in Punch-Out. The guy is just insanely cool, and also serves an important in-game purpose of being a skill check for the player. This is where the game stops teaching and starts expecting. And Piston Hondo is the challenge that makes sure you're ready.